monster in your ears, boy.
It's too much too hard at the ice out the neck. It's too much too hard at the ice out the neck. When I'm in my zone, bitch, I get my respect. Call me bumping Justin.
What's going on, YouTube? I'm Isaac. I'm over here at Texas Sports World. We're here to talk about pretty much anything sports related, mostly college football, maybe some NFL stuff, mostly football. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a college football breakdown on the University of Alabama, talking specifically on the pluses, the negatives, anything that I could think about for the University of Alabama. There's a lot of question marks that goes with the script A at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So today I want to get into that a little bit. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for watching the video. If you're watching the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on it so you can help us get some engagement going. Thanks for that. All right. First and foremost, let's get into it. There's a huge question mark on the University of Alabama, mainly coming from last season, going 9-3. Huge letdown following the retirement of Nick Saban for Kalen DeBoer. A lot of fans were not pleased. And if you know Alabama fans, because I am one and I do, a lot of people were pissed off last year. And a lot of people think it'll get better this year. I'm here to tell you why that may not be true. I'm kidding. I think it will be true. I think Alabama will get better this year. I think you'll see a much improved Alabama football team. And I want to start that off with Kalen DeBoer. I think last year, whenever Nick Saban retired and he got the job, he got poached pretty much by the transfer portal. He lost a lot of key pieces. I think he was able to regain some of that back by recruiting and some transfer portal guys. They didn't hit the transfer portal super, super hard. Top 20, I think it was, but nothing really too crazy. More depth than anything. Some solid starters out of the transfer portal for the University of Alabama. I think the bright spot for his offseason was in the recruiting game. Finished second in recruiting, hitting the recruiting pretty hard again this year, keeping up with it a little bit. On top of that, he has Ryan Grubbeck, who he was just in a national championship with in Washington. And he retains Kane Womack, who had Alabama's defense as a top 10 defense ending off last year. So the coaching staff, I feel like, upgraded. Kalen DeBoer, it's his second year. Ryan Williams came out and said a lot of the guys weren't bought in last year. He feels the culture shift this year. He feels like a lot more guys are bought in on the team. Kalen DeBoer kind of got a little hate thrown his way last year after that Vanderbilt loss about what he was wearing and how he didn't show a lot of emotion on the sidelines. And I think Kane Womack and Ryan Grubb are kind of those guys who do kind of like to jump in players' butts and kind of get after them. And that's not what Kalen DeBoer does. So I think there's good synergy there with his coaching staff, and he knows those guys really well, especially Ryan Grubb. So I think you'll see the offense take big leaps this year for the University of Alabama. Now let's dive into the roster a little bit. The big question mark. What is Alabama going to do at quarterback? They lose Jalen Milroe. They're kind of in a quarterback battle with Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, and Keelan Russell. I think Ty Simpson's got the job. Ryan Grubbs came out and said Ty Simpson's got the job if they had to play a game tomorrow. And I think that's the correct choice. I thought that was the correct choice as soon as Jalen Milroe's time here was done. Not just because he stayed and waited his turn and showed loyalty to the program. I think it's his time to shine because of the kind of player that he is. He's an athletic guy. He's not Jalen Milroe. He's not going to run for 200 yards a game and 3 touchdowns, but he is athletic enough to escape that pocket, get where he needs to go, extend plays, get first downs if need be, maybe some design quarterback runs, as well as he brings a level of consistency to the passing game as a more natural passer than Jalen Milroe. With that Ryan Grubb offense, I think it's a perfect fit for those guys. So I think you'll see that quarterback question. I don't think it's a competition anymore unless something crazy happens. I think it'll be Ty Simpson. And I think backing up Ty Simpson, it'll be Keelan Russell and then Austin Mack. And DeBoer obviously likes Austin Mack. He recruited him to Washington, then from Washington to Alabama, and he followed him. So maybe I think the real quarterback battle is for QB2. Sorry there. But I think the second string quarterback position is more so what we're talking about than the starting quarterback. Now, last year you had Ryan Williams and you had Jeremy Bernard, and that was kind of it for your wide receiver room. They both performed really well. You bring both those guys back, and you add Isaiah Horton as well as I just had it. Rico Scott. Rico Scott's a name to watch out for the Alabama receiving room because he got in some playing time last year and he looked really good, as well as guys like Lotzier Brooks, freshman coming in this year, and Jalen Hale, who a lot of people forgot about, and he's coming back off of an injury that he missed all of last season, and Jalen Hale's coming back. So you get Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, Rico Scott, and Jalen Hale. That's not a bad receiver. Matter of fact, I think it's probably top 5 in the nation. Um, so you get those athletic playmakers to throw to. Jalen Hale's he's kind of your speed guy. He's what Kendrick Law was supposed to be before we lost him to Kentucky, and I think he knew that. I think he knew there was, if there was going to be a time for Kendrick Law to figure it out, it was going to be last year, and I don't think he did. But this year, I think he knew he didn't have a shot, as well as Caleb Odom, I think is his name. We lost him to the transfer portal as well, but I'm not that upset about that because I think the receiver room we have now is really good, probably top 5 in the nation, probably up there, top 2, top 3 in the SEC. So I think receivers are fine. And then you go to the running back room and you got Jam Miller. And Jam Miller, don't get me wrong, he's really good. He was back there with Justice Haynes last year. Justice Haynes, we lost him to Michigan. And then you have, I forgot his name, Richard Young. Richard Young got in there in some scrub time last year, and he looked really good too. I think Richard Young's another young guy that you're going to see kind of maybe take over that RB1 spot. Or if Jam Miller goes down, or if they can't rely on Jam Miller, I think Richard Young brings another level to that running back room and some really well added depth that I think they could split carries. I mean, he looked really good last year. I was really impressed by him, and I'm excited to see what he does this year. And then you have, Alabama's offensive line, one of the top offensive lines in the nation. They had some inconsistencies last year, but I think they'll bring it back this year. And you put all that together with Ryan Grubb, I think you'll open up that run game a little bit more. I think the pass game will be phenomenal. And I think the run game will be a lot better because of that. Because, last year, Jalen Milroe, don't get me wrong, probably the best athlete on the field at any time, but very inconsistent. And I think Ty Simpson brings a level of consistency to the quarterback position that Alabama was missing last year. A lot of people ask, why wasn't Ty Simpson starting last year? Why didn't he ever get to start last year? Why didn't he start a game last year at all? And I think the answer to that is because Jalen Milroe was so dynamic as a quarterback that he could win you a game against Georgia. And if he just put that game together, if he could play like he played against Georgia every game without skipping a beat, you might be looking at a national championship football team last year. But you beat Georgia, you beat LSU, you beat Mizzou. He looks great in those games, and then you got the OU game and the Vanderbilt game and the Tennessee game, which I think, questionable. But then you got the Michigan game, multiple turnovers in the first quarter. And towards the end of last season, you saw Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard kind of getting frustrated with them because they're wide open and he's not hitting them. And there's a clip going around of Ryan Williams on a route against Tennessee, sort of like a out route-ish, and he's open like 3 times on that route. He hits that break to go towards the sideline, wide open, and the ball just gets completely overthrown. That's probably a 20, 30-yard gain right there for Ryan Williams. Maybe leads to a score. Maybe you don't lose the game. So the consistency in the pass game, I think, will get better with Ty Simpson. That doesn't necessarily mean I think Ty is a better quarterback than Jalen Milroe. I just think he's more consistent and still brings some of that athletic running game that you want from your quarterback. I do think that the points per game might be a little bit lower on a floor end. I think the floor is a lot lower, but I think the ceiling's lower, but the floor is the same. I'm sorry, I misspoke there. I think the floor is the same and the ceiling's a little bit lower, but it's more consistent. I think you're going to be able to reach that ceiling a lot more than you were last year with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. Then we get to the defense, and man, top 10 defense written all over it. Top 3 secondary written all over it. You got your freshman guys like Dejon Lee coming in as one of the best cornerbacks and then coming out of high school last year. He's going to be expected to play and if not, at least some depth games or some blowouts that Alabama will have this year. You got Keon Sabb back. Okay, you have Bray Hubbard back. You have Zabian Brown. You have Jalen Mbakwe, which he might be a little two-way guy. And you have Damani Jackson. I mean, those are all really good players in your secondary for the University of Alabama. And those guys that I mentioned, Zabian Brown, Jalen Mbakwe, John Lee, he's the freshman, but those guys, they get another year in the Kane Wommack system, and they already played good. So you can anticipate that they're probably going to get better. As well as everybody else on the defense, they get another year in that system, in that Kane Wommack system that was a top 10 defense last year. Your linebacker room, headlined by guys like Quay Russaw and Deontay Lawson, those guys come back. I mean, those are two really good linebackers that you needed on your team. And so they come back. You have a pretty stacked linebacker room, and then your defensive line still is really good. As you know, in the SEC, you're gonna have to have a good defensive line and a good offensive line. You have to be really solid in the trenches if you're gonna want to win football games. And I think Alabama knows that. I think Kalen DeBoer knows that, and I think he really focused on that, especially with this upcoming recruiting class for this year. He's already gotten 2 offensive linemen for this next year, the 2026 season. So I don't see Alabama going anywhere. I think Alabama will surprise a lot of people. I think their young players will surprise a lot of people. And I think the players that they had last year that were highlights on the team will just get better. I don't think you'll see Alabama losing the games that they shouldn't lose to, specifically Vanderbilt and OU, those kinds of games. I don't think you see them lose those games. You might see them lose better, like LSU. I could see them being a little sneaky game. Georgia always puts a little fear in my heart for some reason. Auburn at Jordan-Hare this year. That place is haunted. Hate them. But I do think Alabama will surprise a lot of teams next year. I don't think this is going to be a 3-loss Alabama team. I have a hard time believing that this is not going to be a playoff football team. I think there's a lot of surprising things that get overlooked on this team if you're not an Alabama faithful. And I think just my main message of this video is just keep an eye out for Alabama football next year. We're going to get into some other college football teams, not just specifically SEC, but Big Ten, Pac-10, all that stuff as well. So keep an eye out. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe here. We're making an Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Go follow our Twitter. We're really active on Twitter. Go get all that. Interact with us. Talk to us. That's what we want to do. If I'm wrong, if you think I'm crazy and I'm stupid, go tell me that on TikTok or Twitter. That's where we're most active at. Go give us a follow on those. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Love y'all.
I ain't with that beefing on the net.